Hey everybody, it's Chris, MTGO's RexDart, and we're just going to do a short video segment to introduce the deck before we start playing it tonight. This deck was the winner at Bazaar of Moxen, which is the biggest vintage event in Europe every year, played by Michael Rupon, and because it was a five-color Humans Hate Bears deck, which is something I've played quite a bit, I was curious to try out his build, and there are certainly some cards in here from recent sets that I never would have considered playing. Um, but I think you'll see in the videos that they all pull their weight fairly well, including quite surprisingly Mantis Rider. But we'll go ahead and go through the deck here just a little bit. First of all, it is five-color Human Hate Bears, so Cavernous Souls is sort of the linchpin here. It's the allows you to cast all of your different humans and make them uncounterable, which is big. And then this is pretty standard here to run all these other Pentalands. So you have Mana Confluence, Gemstone Mine, and City of Brass. And now in his list, he has got just one Strip Mine and one Wasteland. I actually, when I've played it in the past, have shaved on Cities of Brass and run extra Wastelands here. But he went. You do have some mana issues with playing this deck sometimes, especially with casting Abrupt Decay, because Noble Hierarch doesn't make the black, and so it can be a little harder sometimes because Cavernous Souls, this is being a non-creature spell, it's sort of the hardest spell to cast in the deck. So playing with some additional Pentalands may make sense here. I like the additional disruption from having the other Wastelands. Gives you a little more play against, excuse me, a little more play against, say, Bazaars in your and workshops. But nevertheless, he does have a couple more here in the board. So that's the mana base, that plus Lotus and all five Moxen. He is playing Time Walk and Ancestral Recall. Some Human Hate Bears decks do not play them, but I don't really see any reason not to if you can make the blue. And if you're playing with Noble Hierarch, you can make the blue as easily as any other color. And so I think that those two should probably be standard in most of these lists if you're playing an optimal list. And then he's gone with four Noble Hierarchs. I have in the past sometimes played with Deathrite Shamans, a couple of them. You don't have any lands other than the gemstone mines and your own fetches, or sorry, your own stripped effects, because you're not playing fetches, that'll turn on a Deathrite Shaman. So he has opted not to play any, which, considering he only has the one strip mine and one wasteland, that may be right. But I mean, often enough, your opponent's going to give you lands in the graveyard, but it isn't guaranteed. And so I can see just playing the four nobles and not playing any Deathrites, certainly in this configuration. Now the actual Hate Bear part for Thalia. Thalia is the one that pretty much every one of these is going to play for. It slows down the Gush decks, it slows down the Storm decks. It's what allows you to be playing a weenie aggro deck and not immediately die. So playing for Thalia I think is pretty much universal. Some number of Containment Priest main board. He's got three in the main, and in his list he had one in the side. The only change I made from his deck to what I'm playing is I didn't own a fourth Containment Priest online, and so I ran a Leyline of Sanctity in the board in lieu of a priest. But anyways, yeah, he has access to the full set. Two Grand Abolishers. Grand Abolisher is going to make it so that your creatures are uncounterable. Of course, Cavernous Souls already does that. But again, he felt like having this bear here to prevent your opponent from messing with your spells on your turn, or for instance, prevent him from running out of Snapcaster on your turn, various things. They can still waste you and use fetches on your turn because it does allow land activated abilities, but nothing else. So Dark Confidant, I play four of these, but he's only running three here. If you're not sure what you're up against, we talk about this a little bit. if you're kind of blind, Dark Confidant's fine to run out there as a turn one play. You are playing all four of the Moxes, so all these spells that are colorless and one, you're going to be able to cast pretty reliably off all these Penta lands and make solid first turn plays. It draws you into more lands against shops, keeps you at card parity against any slower decks, any kind of mid-range decks. So Mayor of Averbuck, we've talked about before with these. It not only boosts the rest of your team against shops, I always liked it because if they locked you out from casting any other spells, they disrupted your mana, your first turn Mayor would start spitting out 3/3 wolves at 2/2s that he was pumping, assuming that you couldn't cast anything, and those could all trade with Lodestone Golem. It was a nightmare for them to deal with if they basically didn't have the Dismember in hand. Makes their lockout a lot worse. Now, of course, they're not really playing. I mean, they've only got one Lodestone Golem now. I still think it's good against shops, but it's not what I think it was at one point. That the role of it is a little bit different now. But still, the idea is that you cast some creature and it provides additional value for you without having to cast any other spells. So if you do get Tangle Wired, it gives you little extra guys that you can tap down to Tangle Wire if you need to cast something, etc., etc. Now he's got 3 Pride Mages also. Cat Wizard, sadly not a human, but you can name Wizard and also hit Dark Confidant here. So it's, I think, his Priest, it's a Cleric, right? Yeah. So basically just Dark Confidant and Pride Mage that you can cast off of a Cavern naming Wizard. If you're going to cast it, name Wizard, I guess, just so you have that option. But the Exalted is nice. It especially with the Mantis Rider. If you're in a board state where they've got guys clogging up the ground, say opposing mentor or what have you, having the 4 hierarchs and then having the Pride Mages allows you to put a lot of pressure on the opponent really quick. Or if you're trying to get a Scab Clan Berserker in. So let's go on and talk about Scab Clan Berserker. It's sort of a Eidolon, but an Eidolon that's a little more expensive, but it does have haste. So if you get in with it and it connects, it has to connect, which in Vintage is reasonable if you're casting it early on. Depending on, there are a lot of opponents that just won't have any creatures or blockers. So once it gets in, it will do 2 damage each time the opponent casts a non-creature spell. So if you can get this in, they're removing it. It's going to do a couple damage to them. You've probably already dealt 2 damage to them with the haste. It's obviously great against Gush kind of decks and everything like that if you can get in with it. They pretty much got to get the thing off the board. So, yeah, obviously the advantage here is that it being a human, you can cast it off of Cavern of Souls as opposed to Eidolon. Why you wouldn't play Eidolon. When I was looking at these, this card wasn't around. I think Eidolon is the kind of card that has, vintage chops, and putting it in a more relevant creature type is clearly made the difference here as to why this was successful. Reflector Mage, essentially here would be sort of uncounterable bounce. The most obvious use would be, something like a Blightsteel Colossus, but you certainly could use it against a Monastery Mentor or some other mid-rangey creature. Just buys you a lot of time, the fact that they can't cast any creature with that name until your next turn. So I guess you do have to keep in mind there if you bounce something with Reflector Mage. I'm trying to remember if it didn't come up exactly in my matches, but I remember casting Time Walk in this, and I'm not sure if my opponent knew you, but I believe it says you can't cast spells with the same name until your next turn. So if you did Reflector Mage something and then Time Walk, your opponent would be able to play it on their turn because you would have had another turn go by. So if you plan on having some kind of Time Walk sequence, you probably would want to Reflector Mage on the second turn if possible. Obviously, if you need to get something out of the way to get extra damage, and then you do what you got to do. Now, Mantis Rider was the one that really kind of seemed odd to me, but it pulls its weight pretty well as a Flying Vigilance Haste 3/3. it's going to fly over. There just aren't a ton of flyers in the format, so it's going to fly over just about anything. You've got Exalted. It can really be a huge clock on the opponent, and I don't generally like creatures anymore that don't do anything, in terms of slow the opponent down. All this is an aggressive creature, but you do need to close out the game. And whereas I once played Tarmogoyf and probably wouldn't play Tarmogoyf now because of all the Pyromancer and Monk tokens floating around, Mantis Rider, by virtue of having flying, is pretty good for just being a beater. And again, it having vigilance makes it play pretty well. So finally, there's a few copies of Abrupt Decay. Again, you need to have this, but it is going to be the toughest spell to cast, and sometimes you're going to be staring at it going, how do I not have black green? But it'll happen, but you got to have it. You got to be able to take out Oath of Druids, for instance, and Delver and other things like that. And this deck does not have a Path to Exile or anything like that, and it's not playing any tutors. So really, your 3 Abrupt Decays are your only removal apart from Pride Mage, and you've got Bounds. But anyways, moving on to the sideboard. He's got 3 copies of Stony Silence, another Grand Abolisher, and again, this was a Containment Priest. I threw in a Leyline of Sanctity because it's good against Oath, which is also a Containment Priest target, and it hits Storm as well. And Belcher, for instance, which this doesn't have anything particular against other than the Stony Silences. So I thought, well, I'll throw that in. He's got 3 Surgical Extractions. Now, Containment Priest is going to work against Dredge, and I like that better. I don't know about picking Surgical Extraction, why he picked Surgical Extraction as his Dredge hate here, but that's what he went with. I kept it. Static Casters for mostly for Pyromancer tokens, and you can catch monks with them as well. The 4th copy of Abrupt Decay, which I would probably bring in against Oath, for instance, or any kind of Delver thing. And another Reflector Mage. Again, as far as Grizzlebrands are concerned, this isn't going to do an awful lot since they'll be able to get the cards off it. Now, you are pressuring their life total, but still, I don't really love it there. I mean, it does the job. Maybe you would bring it in, but obviously he wanted to have the extra one there, and then a couple of Wastelands. So I recorded some match footage tonight. I think that the deck is competitive. I was worried that without Mental Missteps, it would just get blown out by some of the God Hands. And now maybe if I had gone up against some kind of all-in vault deck, key vault deck, I would have gotten blown out a lot, or Belcher, but luckily I didn't get up against Belcher. I guess you have to watch the metagame and see what you think, but I kind of feel naked not having Mental Missteps in the list, but as metagames kind of shift around you, maybe you feel you can get away with not playing Mental Missteps and just kind of having a better diversity of threats. Their Mental Misstep doesn't hit as much as maybe it once did. That kind of ebbs and flows, but just like having some kind of answer to somebody who's just going, turn 1 vault key, that kind of thing. But in any event, I thought the deck was competitive, played against a few different archetypes, and had some good matches and got to see some cool decks. So join me for some match play footage. Hey everybody, it's Chris, MTGO's RexDart. Sorry, I've had a little bit of a sore throat recently, but hopefully we'll be able to make it through some rounds tonight. We're playing the 5-color Hate Bears deck from Bizarre Moxen, and I would like this. It's on the play. I would like it an awful lot better if it had a Mox in it, but I think I will keep. It has interaction against a lot of different types of decks here. Sadly, we're a long way away from being able to play the Strip Mine. So we'll run out a Cavern Naming Human. Sorry. Sorry, I meant we're a long way away from being able to play the Abrupt Decay because all we have is Strip Mine and no Mana Dorks. So I don't know, maybe this hand wasn't as good as I had hoped. Okay. And we're up against, well, we'll find out shortly. He's got to probe me. Probably has a Mox in hand. Something else to do this turn, I would assume. Yes, he does. Alright, rip a land. Did not. So I can strip the library here, or I think probably I just have to run something out. Kind of inclined to run out the Bob to try to draw me into some more mana. At least I can kind of keep parity with that library, but if I... Thalia might be the better option, just to slow him down a little bit. I think we'll go ahead and run out the Thalia first. And then next turn I can run out the Bob if I haven't gotten anything else. Alright, so he's going to ponder. Oh, Mox Jet, huh? Okay. Alright, so I can tap that for a Mox Jet. And then we're going to play Bob. So I'm still not entirely sure what he's on. Could be some kind of blue-white-red mentor deck. Be like land still. I mean, anymore, the blue decks are just so interchangeable in a lot of ways. Certainly if you've been watching. Alright, he's going to Cabal Therapy my Abrupt Decays, I assume, based on that earlier Git probe. So we're seeing Grixis colors here. Okay, he named Thalia. Okay. Wonder why he wanted to get rid of the second Thalia. Alright, well there's a gemstone mine, so I have Abrupt Decay up now, if I want to. Also I have, let's see, have Ancestral Recall. I think I'm going to strip something here. Not really sure. I could strip his C or his library. I think we'll strip the library. And then we will attack. Alright, now if he casts, let's see. Yeah, I've got to think with Cabal Therapy, it's probably some kind of mentor deck. Make the most sense, but in any event, I've got him on a clock now. I'm curious as to kicking the other Thalia, that he could be combo, and he's planning on bouncing that Thalia. He's going to DT here. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards combo based off of kicking the Thalia, just because I don't see why else kick the other Thalia and leave the 2 Abrupt Decays that he knew about. Alright, I think I will Ancestral here. He's going to misstep it. Okay. Alright, so now if I drop the Mayor, I can hit him down to... Oh, he's just going to scoop here. Okay. Alright, not sure why he did that, but alright. So I'm still thinking some kind of combo. Obviously, I think probably not the Mayors. What am I going to want if he is? Maybe go into the mana denial a little more here. I'll bring in the Wastelands. And yeah, I'm not sure Reflector Mage is going to have any targets, but he could have Blightsteel, Tinker's Blightsteel or something, so I don't really want to get rid of it. I think, again, with really not being able to 100% identify what he's got, I think maybe Stony Silence, kind of double down on the mana denial aspect here. Could be a way to go. And then we'll reevaluate kind of what we once we really see what he's got going on. I'm curious if he leaves missteps in, because really it's Ancestral Recall is it. Probably takes those out and would bring in like a balance, or I didn't see any white mana, so I'm Pyroclasm perhaps, Fire Spout, something like that if he has them. Alright, so on the draw I'll be able to cast this Hierarch, and then the following turn I'll have access to most of these spells, excepting the... I'm going to keep it. Alright, he's going to get Probe. Yeah, I mean, Containment Crease could be a complete dud against him. Not really sure. Like I say, I'll hopefully have a better idea after this game. Alright. And he's got a Valk. And a Cavern naming Human. And Hierarch. And we'll see if maybe he has Lightning Bolt or something. No, okay. Alright, opponent drops a C. And DTs. Now he's seen everything in our hand except for the mana confluence, so his decision on the DT is going to be informed. He's going to know what we've got. So if he doesn't do anything more this turn, then I'll have it. Okay, so I've got the decision now that okay, we're going to run out the mana confluence and the Sapphire. So now I can decide. I could throw the Stony Silence out there and then hold up Containment Priest to flash in if I need to. That might be reasonable play. I'd be shutting off my own Sapphire, but I can cast everything else here anyways, even the Manus Rider. So We'll go ahead and do that. But again, he has seen all of these cards, so what is, so he just DT'd for Ancestral apparently. Does not seem to be drawing any of his accelerants here. He has a very nicely foiled out deck. Props to him there. Alright, we will go ahead and flash in the Containment Priest. End of turn. Okay, we got a City of Brass. Alright, so I think I want to drop the Scab Clan Berserker. I'm going to attack with just the Berserker, maybe in case, just like if there's a Snapcaster or something, maybe. So we'll go red, red, white. Okay, he's F6'd apparently, so I probably could attack him with both. Okay, he did not. Alright. Alright, it's going to be Renowned. I think those Manus Riders are going to finish up the game pretty quickly if he doesn't have some way to go off here. Whatever he does, he would take a couple from this Scab Clan Berserker. Okay, he's going to Gush. He needs to find something to bounce that really before he can do anything else. Okay. Not really sure why he boarded that in, but you know, I guess I will let my Manus Riders be 4/2s. That's fine. Mana Confluence. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I'll get the red off of there, and white, and blue. Alright, he's going to Pyroblast it. Take a couple damage anyways. Alright. And we've got another one coming next turn, but he has got a pretty big grip here. So alright, he's going to dig. Takes a couple more damage there. So Scab Clan Berserker has pulled its weight here, although, again, it's kind of doing what an Eidolon would do, but is vulnerable to slightly less removal because it doesn't get hit by the enchantment hate. And, of course, importantly, is a human. And has a little beefier body, not that it ends up being relevant here. But alright, so he didn't find an answer. So good, successful first outing. Join me again for another match play video shortly. Hey everybody, it's Chris, MTGO's RexDart, and we are back for more matches here. And this happens with the mana sometimes, even with all those Pennalands. Drawn both of the deck's strip effects, so I'm going to have to mull. Kept on 7. I'm on the play. Well, I will say for this, it can cast everything it has in its hand. We'll keep Second Priest. I think I'm going to bottom that. Play a Gemstone Mine and ship the turn. And mana problems, in my experience, are you work it out in your head and you think, I have so many of these mana sources because of the Penlands and the Mana Dorks and everything like that, but you still run into trouble, particularly casting Abrupt Decay in many situations, just because of that black requirement that your Mana Dork will not make unless you play Deathrite Shamans. But in the case of Deathrite Shamans, you're kind of relying on being able to use your opponent's fetches because you do not have them yourself. Alright, so I can run an Abolisher out there, or I can just hold this open and flash in a Containment Priest, or hold open for Abrupt Decay. I think hold open for Abrupt Decay and then flash in the Priest end of turn if he does not play anything that requires me to run out the Abrupt Decay. Alright, he's going to Brainstorm. Playing a lot of slowish blue decks tonight, it seems. So he mulls that over. And he's going to preordain now. And perhaps bottom the two he put. Yes, he did. Okay. And now we've got a Lotus Petal. And another preordain. And land for the turn is a Misty. He finds a Trop and Fast Bounce. So we're some kind of Gush deck here, it appears. So I can try to Abrupt Decay the Fast Bond here in response to the Gush, which I think I will do. Black, green. Should set his development back quite a bit, although it does not advance my board. Alright, so I've got a City of Brass. I think we will run out the Hierarch and let's see, probably just the Hierarch, and again I could keep the Priest open, or I could play a Grand Abolisher. I think we'll go ahead and run out the Hierarch. And I don't know the Grand Abolisher is really going to do anything to him in particular, nor the Priest is, but I think in that circumstance probably holding open for the Priest is still the best option, because either way they're just bears, and one of the bears happens to have Flash. So alright. White. And white. And we'll flash in the Priest here at the end of his turn. Alright, so we got a little bit of a clock going on him now. And Scab Clan Berserker. That's going to certainly enhance that clock. So, let's see, I want red, red, white. Okay, he's going to force that, so I guess that would be a case for having played the Abolisher. So obviously, now I will go ahead and just swing in with the Priest. Not sure, what did he exile? Git probe. Okay. All right. Okay, he's going to vamp now. Puts him to 12. All right, so he replays the other land from his hand we knew that he had. And now he's going to gush, having used both his land drops, but he is floating. Okay, and now he's going to Yogg Will, so we'll see if he's able to put it away from here. He can recast the Fast Bond. Obviously, he's going to have a little bit of damage, but he's going to be able to gush several times here. So I suppose the question, like if I had played the Grand Abolisher on that second opportunity, instead of just holding open to flash in the Priest, obviously it worked out the first time because Abrupt Decay. The second time I didn't have anything to hold open. So I guess it comes down, would he have forced Grand Abolisher? But I think in hindsight, I probably should have gone ahead and played Grand Abolisher, but I didn't know at the time I had anything as important as a Scab Clan to protect. So at the time I was looking at stuff that I thought was relatively insignificant, like the Reflector Mage here. So I'm probably about to get Tendrils to death. Okay. So we will move on to game 3 here. Or sorry, game 2? Was that game 1? Yeah, okay. All right, so I don't... Abrupt Decay, although good in that particular game, is not generally that great against him. I think, let's see, I clearly want the ley line. Don't want Reflector Mage. Stony Silence is going to be good against him. Surgical Extraction could be okay, but not fantastic. I think we'll just bring in the Mana Denial there, and we'll take out... what do I want to take out? I guess the Priests. Let's see, I could take out the other Priest. Again, he may very well have Tinker Blightsteel in there. I guess I should consider keeping some answer to that in case he does. So maybe I do want one of the mages. I mean, they're just dead otherwise. Okay. We'll cut a Pride. I guess, yeah, just in case he does have Tinker Blightsteel, I kind of want to have something to deal with that. So I guess I could leave in 2 of the Priests. I think everything else looks fine. Alright, we'll go right there. Okay. Alright, so we'll submit that. And we'll take the play. Alright, so first turn... At first turn, Stony Silence. Second turn, Priest or Abolisher. I think I'll keep that. So we'll go Gemstone Mine and the Jet. Alright, and that resolves. Could be good or bad for us. You could have a hand that doesn't rely excessively on artifact mana. Alright, so I think I'll play the Cavern here. Naming human. And we will play the Abolisher. Alright, so he's going to hold both of those open. I have to... Here, I'll be playing the Wasteland. Well, now I don't suppose I don't have to here necessarily. He will have probably a Gush next turn. Yeah, he can still activate the abilities of his lands with this out. I can't Gush to save the land, however. So my question here is I can either burn up this Gemstone Mine to play a Mantis Rider this turn and swing and kind of try to put him on a clock, or I can hold up on a Wasteland. But again, presuming he does this right, won't be vulnerable to the Wasteland. He would be able to save the land by casting Gush. So I think we'll go ahead and play the Confluence, and we'll have white, blue, red, Mantis Rider. Okay, is this clicked up? Okay. Alright, so swinging for 5. Don't have the amount of disruption I would really like here. Maybe the Stony Silence is doing some work that I'm not seeing right now, because obviously I don't know what's in his hand, but alright, he's going to be able to Gush here, and again he's so he had all fetch lands. Alright, Trigon Predator, okay. Well, Trigon Predator is going to run into Mantis Rider, otherwise that would be pretty good. Time Walk, huh? Okay. So I can waste something and Time Walk and attack with Mantis Rider. Now he can't Gush to save the land because of the Abolisher. So we'll play the Wasteland. I guess I will waste him off of the green. Alright, and then we'll just attack with Mantis Rider. Alright, there you go. Okay. It's kind of a weird, and I never considered that this interaction would be relevant, that somebody would have brought that in. So, alright, and then we will Time Walk. And we drew a Mana Confluence. And then we will attack again with Mantis Rider. And then we will pass the turn. So yeah, Trigon Predator, I don't know how many times people are going to bring that in against this deck, but the fact that the 3/3 Flying Vigilance Haste Mantis Rider stops Trigon Predator cold is pretty hilarious. Alright, so we're going to... Okay, white. And flash in the Priest. And a Thalia too, huh? Okay. Let's see. So I could swing, if I swung with everything, he could kill one of these that's relevant with the Trigon Predator, and then he's taking 5 and going to 1. Is it worth throwing one of these away for that? So he couldn't use the Polluted Delta. Potentially it is. He could block the Mantis Rider, let this die, and then go down to 2, but that seems bad also. Alright, so he's going to kill the Abolisher. Go to 1. And then I will play Thalia. And pass the turn. Alright, he gushes. He can replay a land here. Not really sure what he could do. Yeah, okay. So he's going to scoop. Alright. Again, thinking out loud, is there anything here that I really feel the need to bring in? I guess now I know he has Trigon Predators, but I don't really think that that changes the math here at all. I could consider, again, taking out... I've still got the Abrupt Decays in here. I could consider whether I really need those Mayors, but it does increase the clock. Reflector Mage maybe is better than Containment Priest, if that's the case. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this how it is. We'll keep this. So yeah, certainly against a deck like that in particular, I definitely feel the fact that this list does not have mental missteps. When I've played 4 or 5 color humans in the past, I've always had a set of mental missteps available in the 75, usually in 3 or 4 main. And because of my fear about those kind of decks. Now this hand here is awfully slow. With no mocks, I don't have any kind of play against a Gush Tender. Now again, admittedly, turn 3 is kind of the key turn for him because of Gush. But that being said, you know, then I'm talking about his turn 2. Hopefully he hasn't just comboed me out, because he easily could. He has hands where he could do that. He doesn't have to play it out like a Gush game all the time. And in that event, you know, all I've got is something here on turn 2, you know, a Stony Silence maybe. So I'm going to mulligan this. This hand I obviously like, although it has nothing going for it except for the ley line, but it has plenty of mana and a Noble Hierarch, so I will keep it. I will definitely put that on top and put the ley line in, and yep, okay. Alright, so we're going to play a Gemstone Mine, an Emerald, and a Ruby. We're going to play Noble Hierarch with that. and El Babo here. El Babo might get countered. Nope, okay. So this here is where I would be thinking, okay, so he was holding open for Vamp. See, this is here's where I would be thinking about Tinker Blightsteel is why they sometimes keep that as a backup win condition in case they're facing something like Leyline. Now again, he may have Echoing Truth. That could be what he's vamping for here. I'm not really sure. I'm gonna assume he has some way to either get around this um, or bounce it. Bouncing it is not great for him since I could recast it, and then he'd have to spend resources countering it. But um, I guess, I mean, he could wait until he had the turn where he was ready to go off, for instance, to do that. So that would be one plan. I'm going to hope that Bob lives and draws me into some more disruption, Thalia or Scab Clan, perhaps. All right, Lotus. Sacks it for black. Okay, we've got Doomsday. All right, so he's going to find a Doomsday pile that can win through Leyline, which should be fairly easy. Again, I'm not a Doomsday expert, but they certainly have win conditions that don't require targeting me. Obviously, Lotus is going to be one of the cards. Again, I could sit here and spitball what his pile would be, but I'm not Stephen Menendian, this is a very difficult deck to play, and I'm not gonna guess, but I know they have Lab Maniac, for instance. I was curious. I don't know if maybe if he has an Ancestral in hand. Would change things up. So he's going to think for a while about this Doomsday pile, and then this could not be particularly riveting match play footage here. If it goes on much longer, I'll go ahead and pause the video. But anyways, so kind of early thoughts here. Again, some of the things I've talked about with playing these kinds of decks before. The mana issues are always there, and there's a lot of Thalia is good when there's less shop stacks. Mayor was always good against shops. I'm not sure if he still really belongs here. He does kind of increase your curve. If you don't know what you're up against, Bob is always good one because it's good in pretty much any situation. It's going to draw you into more of your other fuel, like if you don't know what to lead on in the situation where you have a Mox and a land, which comes up often. I'm still curious, the making the double red for Scab Clan hasn't been a problem so far. I would have thought that it would have been because Noble Hierarch doesn't make red, and that's kind of your main drawback. Same as for Mantis Rider, but doesn't seem to be a big problem. And Mantis Rider's had some kind of quirky applications here, again, stopping a Trigon Predator, for instance, and so I like it. It's this deck, a lot more 3-drops. The versions I've played has always been very focused on the 2-drops. Having your disruptive 2-drops, your mana dorks, and then your Dark Confidant to kind of draw you into more of them, so that you have that turn 1 play of land Mox something important, because you don't have a lot of ability to fight on the stack. Really, in this version, none at all. Apart from like Containment Priest, where that's applicable. So, Anyways, I tell you what we'll do. He's really in the tank on this Doomsday, so we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and pause the video here, and we'll come back when he's got his pile sorted out. Hey everyone, it's Chris. We're back. My opponent has apparently found a Doomsday pile he liked. So he is casting Brainstorm, Mox Sapphire. He has no mana floating, but we know that Lotus was one of the cards. So I would think just Lab Maniac and Ancestral. Not sure why this pile took him so long to figure out. Okay, Time Walk. And he has no cards in his library. What did he do here? Okay. Alright, well there's the Lab Maniac. Seems really bizarre to set that up in a way that gives me an extra turn. Okay, yeah, I mean, I didn't draw it there, but, you know, it's like if I drew Abrupt Decay, what is he doing here? Okay, well, looks like nothing I can do in this one, so I'm going to give it to him, but that is strange, the way he sequenced that. All right, well, join me for another video here shortly, and we'll see if we can have a little better luck here. But good competitive game so far. And hey everybody, it's Chris, MTGO's RexDart, and we're back for round 3. And let's see. This is an interesting one. It's got Abrupt Decay, Abolisher, Reflector Mage. Nothing particularly proactive. But I mean, a lot of mana, and really would be great if it had like a Bob, but boy, I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. We'll see what happens. I'll be able to deal with a lot, although not apparently being Belchered out in the first turn, sadly, and that won't work. Oh, Thorn of Amethyst, alright. Okay. So probably go, go Mana Confluence into Jet into Lotus, and then just pass the turn. Because otherwise, what am I doing? I say I've got to use one to get the Lotus. I'm not going to be able to play both the 4-drops. So yeah, okay. We'll go Mana Confluence into Jet. Into Lotus. It does leave me the option there of flashing in Priest in a pinch if for some reason I had to. He certainly is showing Tinker as a possible win con. So 3 shops with Tolarian Academy, or I guess it could be some other kind of stacks deck of some sort. I haven't played colors in a while, but I've been hearing rumblings of other sorts of stacks decks. Without Lodestone Golem, playing additional sphere effects has sort of been the go-to. So, alright, so I'm probably getting wasted here. No? Okay. I guess I have enough other mana. I figure it doesn't matter. Alright, what are we doing? Thought-Knot's here. Okay, so it's Eldrazi. Alright, well I cannot cast the Abrupt Decay. I can flash in Containment Priest here, but I don't see how that's going to help. So he's just going to get to take something, probably Reflector Mage. This is a cool deck. Yeah, because I can't Abrupt Decay it. So certainly I think if I were him, I would take the Reflector Mage, keep my 4/4 Beat Stick hanging out there. Nope, he took Abrupt Decay. Interesting. Okay. I guess yeah, he gets to recast it at some point, but turn off. Maybe he's got enough. Okay, all right. We'll play the Gemstone Mine, and so I want to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to play Reflector Mage. Well, if I'm going to end up wasting a mana if I play Reflector Mage and Bob here. Maybe I could play Abolisher first with the Lotus in case he has counters, and then play Reflector Mage. That's probably what I'm thinking. Okay. Okay. So I've got a white and a black and blue, and we'll Reflector Mage. I'll draw a card off of this, and maybe it's a, well, even if it's a Mox at this point, I can't cast either my 2-drops. Oh, Time Walk, okay. Alright, well, give me something to do next turn, assuming if he wastes me, I won't be able to cast it. Bob is what I'll have to do to try to hit my land drops here, and an argument could be made that I could have just run out all 3 of the 1-drops and dealt with the fact that I was had that 4/4 sitting there, but okay, Eldrazi Mimic. Alright. Eldrazi in everything. What a crazy force they unleashed here. All the formats. Eldrazi's, Eldrazi's, Eldrazi's. Alright, he's gonna kill the mine. Oh, I hit another one though. Okay. Alright, so we will, I think I'll swing with the mage because he can't do anything here on my turn because of the abolisher. And then I think I will time walk, and then all thing else being equal, just play the bob. And he, I'm assuming, can get kind of aggressive. So I don't want to. Again, my life total is a little bit more of an issue here in this matchup, I think, than it would be in most. I'm really glad we got to see this deck on video. This is kind of cool. All right. So if I don't draw anything relevant, I'm going to play the Bob. He can replay Thought Not Seer. I can flash in Priest if I feel like I want to. Abrupt Decay, huh? Well, so yeah, I mean, here I could Abrupt Decay, Mimic, and swing in for 4. But then he would be able to take the Bob out of my hand. Could Abrupt Decay Thorn. Certainly an option 2. That leaves him with 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. He can still cast the... Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and just play the Bob. It's going to draw me out of this a little better than... I really need to be able to just draw. I'm going to regret, I think, if I lose the Bob. Suppose if I Abrupt Decay the Mox Pearl, possibly he can't recast the Thought Not Seer, but I mean, anything that he ripped in terms of a land would let him cast it, and then I'm still losing the Bob. I'm sure the Bob is the most important thing here. Yeah, I think I want the Bob. Boy, I don't know, I'm going to be under a lot of life total pressure. Ugh, I don't know. I could be wrong in wanting that Bob. I've got lands. I really don't have is anything that can stand up to that 4/4. Well, I mean, he's going to be attacking. I can always chump with the Bob. If I feel like I get to that point. I think it's still what I want. Alright, he's got a Reality Smasher. That's a good one. Well, at this point, I may be having to chump. Possibly chump there with the Abolisher. Take the 5. Pride Mage, and another Abrupt Decay. So, well, he didn't draw another land. That's leaning me towards... I don't have anything to deal with this Reality Smasher, sadly. I guys match up pretty poorly there. Let's see, what lines do I have? Like, say I have Pride Mage, swing with Reflector for 3. I can blow up the Mox Pearl. But again, nothing I chump with against Reality Smasher is going to do an awful lot here. And of course, if I sack away the Pride Mage combat, the trample damage is going to come over. Attack him to 8. But if he has a Thought-Knot, if he can play the Thought-Knot Seer, he's going to be... Again, I'm taking damage off of all this. So... guess I could... See, and I have to spend both of these. So I'd have to go to 7 if I want to Abrupt Decay like the Mimic or something. If I go to 7, Abrupt Decay the Pearl, he is down to 3. I could, and I'm at 7. I could take that 5, chump anything of Bob, but then I basically can't cast anything. I still have nothing to do about that Reality Smasher. Yeah, none of these lines look great. Flashing Containment Priest and throw everything in front of the Reality Smasher. Let him kill 2 of them, leaving 1. I mean, I guess that's a play. I have to get that thing off the board, I think, in order to have any kind of chance. Yeah. See, I know he's got the Thought-Knots here, and he'll be able to cast that and make that guy a 4/4. So then I'm still in trouble doing this. So I go to 7. Then go to 2. Yeah, or I could throw the Reflector Mage in front of this and just chump. Again, if I'm chumping both, I've got nothing on the board. I'm not winning. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's a terrible line. I don't see anything else I can do here. Not that's going to make much of a difference. Could certainly wish this list had Path to Exile or something. Reflector Mage, Reality Smasher. What format are we playing here? Yeah, these beefy creatures here, it's going to be tough for this deck to deal with. I guess the Manus Riders would be good, just because they can fly over them and still stay back to block. Manus Rider and some of the Exalted guys could maybe kind of help, maybe race him with that. That's a play. What an interesting build here. So, yeah, I think that this deck is probably just a bad matchup. In the stuff like the Thalias isn't going to really do anything. It's not pure, stacks where the Mayors are going to kind of win it. And again, he's, like Mayor used to be great because, like their biggest thing was, for the most part, Lodestone Golem, and the 3/3s would trade with that. But these 5/5s and 4/4s are much bigger than any kind of creature that you're typically seeing in Vintage. So I think certainly is a build to catch some people off guard. I wonder, I'd be interested to see some deck lists. Going to have to research this Eldrazi build and see if there are people having some success with this. Might be fun to try. All right, well, my opponent, I guess because I was in the tank for so long, maybe he went up to get a soda or something like that. So, oh, okay, he's back. I think he's got this one just about locked up. Yeah, I mean, my other one, I could have played Pride Mage, swung 3, say there, but yeah, I don't think anything, unless it's, okay, another Reality Smasher. Yeah, we're just going to scoop to that. All right, well, let's see if we've got anything that might help here. Wow. Okay. Not a lot. Reflector Mage is probably good. Like this is good against Mimics, but basically nothing else. God, the abrupt decays are just terrible. Okay, well, first of all, I'm pretty sure Thalia is garbage against him. I don't know that I have that much to bring in. Let's see, we'll bring in the Reflector Mage. Gonna bring in the Wastelands. Again, the abrupt decay is for the most part against him, but he does kill the Thorns, some of the mana sources. I mean, it would have had targets there, but I was under kind of a time pressure. So, in terms of his clock being so insane, I just think like the Thalias are going to be actively bad, unless yeah, I just not seeing how those are ever going to be good. So, could bring in. See, I don't think Abolisher is really doing anything. Containment Priest isn't doing anything. I mean, most of his deck is just not doing anything against 5/5s. It's just like I'm just playing White Weenie with a bunch of irrelevant abilities. Against him. That's terrible. God, I mean, I could bring in the 4th Abrupt Decay for no apparent reason. Stony Silence could be good against him, but it's just as likely to probably hurt me. And Staticaster would hit some things. It's got a 3 butt. I mean, soak up damage, but that just seems terrible. Don't see anything I'm getting out of Surgical Extraction. I guess I'll play the other Abrupt Decay. At least it's going to hit his Mimics and whatever. It just seems terrible. I'm not seeing how any of this stuff. Again, Stony Silence is the only thing I could really consider that would help out. I'm afraid that it would hurt me as much in this matchup, and I'm just not going to have an awful lot of time to do anything with it. So what have I got? Turn 1, Hierarch. Turn 2, can't even cast the Primate. It's mulligan here. Well, this one's got a Bob and then a Scab Clan Berserker, which may or may not be worth a darn. Well, at least he had the mulligan pretty aggressively. I don't think we need that land. We'll bottom that. I could have considered keeping it on top just to have the additional, or just to not take damage from Bob, I guess. But so we'll go Cavern, Sapphire, Bob, and then next turn, Gemstone Mine, throw out the Scab Clan. But it's like, depending on how good his turn is, Scab Clan might not connect. So Cavern, naming Human. Mox. I mean, I know it's good. Go ahead. I know where he's going here. Okay, blue, black, old Bobo. See, I'm still kind of deciding for this year at Gen Con if I want to bring a 5-color humans deck, or I have been working on Painter sort of off and on over the course of the year. There's still a few pieces I need to purchase, but they have a ton of vendors at Gen Con. I can always practice it here and just buy the remaining pieces when I get out there. Alright. Bob will flip a Worthless Grand Abolisher. Alright. Nice. Expedition Wasteland. Alright, we're going Gemstone Mine. Red, blue, Scab Clan. At least this, I've got a more aggressive start, and he did not have much of a start himself here. So, he could have Dismember. I don't know that he would use it here. See, and he doesn't necessarily need to cast any non-creature spells other probably than Artifact Acceleration. Alright, well, the Scab Clan being renowned, I do expect Scab Clan to do a little bit of damage to him, I would think. Alright, Cavern naming Eldrazi. Hey, yeah, we have another Cavern deck. I like seeing the tribal decks come out to the fore here. Very fun. Alright, so we've got a Mimic. And what am I going to draw off Bob? A Time Walk. I got a Wasteland here too. Let's see, I could waste his Cavern or his own Wasteland. I think I'm curious to see if I attacked with Bob that he trades Mimic for it. But I'm not sure I want to throw away Bob, but that's putting a lot of, especially since I would have Time Walk here, that's putting him under a lot of, he'd be down to 10 at that point with me having the Scab Clan active and him probably being at 1 land, assuming all that. Yeah, let's see what he does. Oh, okay. Alright, well, we're going to see if Time Walk resolves first. Here, we'll go blue. One. Time Walk, and then I want to cast the Abolisher. Hang on. Let's go blue. Blue. Time Walk. Okay. Alright, so we'll go City of Brass. Cast the Abolisher.
Okay. But then you also have to understand that making those decisions when you affect other people with this, you also have to set the consequences of being freaked out a little bit for it. Men think they should just be able to do whatever they want.
Alright.
Get a word about it. No.
And now we will. Oh, hey, a Mayor. That's pretty good. Oh, and let's see. Can I just get him here? Possibly. Let's see. I can cast the Mayor there and get to 3, 7, 10. So I could go to 10 and then Abrupt Decay the Mimic. Okay. Alright, so we'll go blue, green, Mayor.
We eat breakfast on the way.
And then we'll go green, black, Abrupt Decay the Mimic. And then we will swing. For 10. And then I will wasteland his, I guess it doesn't really matter, his wasteland. Okay, he's going to scoop to that. Alright, so yeah, I think that sideboarding was essentially correct. I don't think I can expect a. The advantage there was that his deck did not play very quickly, and I had a pretty strong sequence of plays there. Some artifact mana and the time walk and a beefy board presence when he just had the mimic. Certainly the mayor helps in this matchup. Just making the guys bigger. So, alright, well, we're waiting for him to submit a deck. But yeah, I feel like on the draw, certainly against any kind of aggressive start that he has, this is a pretty rough matchup. But interesting to see the deck again, obviously capable of some pretty explosive plays. I wonder if he's playing the Ayavugan that you would see in would have seen in Modern and would see in Legacy. Sort of a the Mishra's Workshop of Eldrazi. Although it can produce virtually much more mana in some ways. Kind of like playing. I see his deck kind of playing like Affinity Aggro that was popular in old Classic. With Ravagers and everything like that. It's got the stacks element, but also the smaller aggressive creatures that occasionally can just have sort of a god hand. So if you like playing God mode Magic, as my opponent clearly does, it can certainly those are the kind of decks that can feel that way. All right, so what am I really looking at here? His turn one, he might have something crazy and busted. I'm about to just basically have Noble Hierarch, and then on turn two, I won't be able to cast Abrupt Decay without one of the other Penalans. I can cast a Time Walk to buy some time. I mean, I think it's capable in the sense that none of my hands are. It's not like there's something I'm mulliganing to that just wrecks him. So a hand with a reasonable amount of mana and a mana dork, I can't really complain about. Even if he has a Thorn, or something like that, I'm going to be able to run out the Hierarch and still be able to Time Walk on turn two. So none of my hands are going to beat one of his more crazy. So yeah, I'm wondering if he's playing big blue in here. You'd think if you have that much blue mana, you might at least play Ancestral and whatnot. Alright, well, I have another option here that I could strip the Academy just to kind of slow him down, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Could be wrong there, but I may also be taking him off of again, if I'm only setting him back one turn, then it's just kind of parity there, unless I draw a Mox. But and if he doesn't have like an Ancient Tomb or something here, then I could have considerably set him back with that. Because I wondered, like, he had to have some kind of follow-up play there. Okay, he's got an Eldrazi Temple. So he would have been able to play Thought-Knot Seer this turn. I'm not going to be able to get around this unless I draw a Mox, which I don't. So we're left with Cavern naming human. So basically what we would have done before. Green Noble Hierarch. I am glad to have those 2 extra wastelands in the board. I play in my own version 3 wastes and 1 strip main, and the 4th wasteland in the board. Very all in on those. But he only plays the 1 strip and the 1 waste main with 2 other wastes in the board. So it's I like having that they just have interaction. It gives you a way to have additional turn 1 interaction against Dredge, for instance. Obviously, Containment Priest is there, but all right. Well, he could have a totally crazy busted turn, so it's not looking good for me. But you guys will be able to see something crazy potentially here. All right. Thought Not Seer comes down. Not sure what I would take. Time Walk potentially. Just because it's essentially free for me. Next turn it doesn't. He's got enough of a clock on me that I'm going to feel very tied up in this match. Okay, he took the Abrupt Decay, so he must have a Mimic or something that he's wanting to protect, although he didn't play. I guess it doesn't matter to play the Mimic first, so maybe he goes Mimic here and Reality Smasher next turn. Manus Rider, huh? Okay. Alright, so I've got the Cavern, naming human. So I can cast a Time Walk here just to cycle it. Or I can cast the Manus Rider and pass. I think I'll go ahead and cast the Time Walk just to see if I get another land here. One. No, you know what? I could, if I got another, if I hit another land, I could cast Bob and Time Walk, or Mayor and Time Walk next turn. No. Can't go ahead and cast the Time Walk here while it's essentially free. I don't see why not to. Basically just to cycle it, get another card deeper, but I did not hit the land. Okay. So I don't think I will have very good luck racing him. If I had an additional land, I think I would try maybe drop Bob and a Mayor. I could see if I dropped a Mayor here. No, I think I want to go ahead and white, red, blue, just cast the Manus Rider. And I'm probably not going to be able to race him, assuming he has any kind of gas in his hand, but I mean, that's basically the way to play it, so I've just got to play with the hand I'm dealt. I mean, I don't really see another great option here. Now, if Manus Rider lives, I can cast a Mayor next turn, and then Manus Rider would have the ability to trade with a Thought Not Seer, but not with. So he can cast a Smasher here if he has one. Yeah, and he does. So I'm not going to be able to keep up with Smasher, but I'm going to have to eat 9 here. And then on my turn, that's irrelevant. So green, Mayor. All right, so swing 5. Yeah, the Mantis Riders really pulling their weight. Again, don't think I'm going to get out of it here, but if I was on the play, there's a chance I would be able to race him effectively with this Mantis Rider. Yeah, so curious why he took the Abrupt Decay since he hasn't shown anything, unless he was afraid of me Abrupt Decaying the Mock, but... Alright, now he's got all the mana in the world, so if his hand is like 2 more Reality Smashers, which it may well be, he's drawn fairly good, aggressive, beefy stuff here against me. But I don't think his draws were crazy, unusual or anything like that. But without any kind of card draw that he's shown me in this matchup, you'd think that would have to be a problem. Somewhat like Shops has, that it doesn't have a lot of velocity in terms of digging through the deck if you because you don't have all the. And again, I don't know if he's playing any of the other stuff, chalices or whatever. But all right, he's got a mega metamorph. That's kind of stinko. I don't know if there's any way to win here. So right now I would be taking, and I could chump something here. I could trade here, go to 1, but then there's literally no way to win from that position. Is there anything that I could draw that would make a difference here? Obviously, I've got another Mayor, so this attack could be for 6. But except that I'd have to, for any situation where this lives, I pretty much have to throw the Mayor away. Yeah, I think I was just being on the draw here was the deciding problem. I don't think there's anything I can draw that gets me out of this. I've got Pride Mane. Again, nothing that would get this to enough damage, considering that I have to leave this here. And that these have trample. So yeah, trading Mantis Rider here and leaving him these 2 is doing me nothing. Because then I'm not doing any damage to him. I don't have Lightning Bolt or anything. That would be nice. Yeah, so I don't have any way to win here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and scoop. But anyway, so it's good matches. You got to see the power of this deck here. I'm curious if this deck goes again. I can see some fundamental structural issues it could have, but maybe it just has a good enough threat density. It doesn't really have to worry about it. So I guess can I make it to the next turn and maybe he loses a Mana Crypt flip? If I could do 6, I don't see any way to deal 6. Well, I tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and play this out. Just stay alive by chumping with Mayor. So maybe if I drew a... Okay. We're going to chump here if Mayor go to 1. And then Mantis Rider, I can play a new Mayor, hit him for 6, and then hope that he loses the Mana Crypt flip, actually. I'm glad I waited to see that. I think that's right, if I haven't missed anything here. Or no, is it just 5? It's 4? Yeah, it's just 5 because of the... Yeah, so I still didn't have an out there. I guess if I'd had another exalted creature, I could have done it there. But yeah, the most I can get him for here is 5, and he can only take 3 to that. So it's still a good game there, it looks like. Yeah, okay. Well, again, I had a shot there. Again, I think I could have potentially raced him in if I was on the play and won the game thanks to the Manus Rider, but he was able to put quite a bit of pressure out there, and just was not to be. But anyways, I thank you for joining me for tonight's matches, and I will see you next time.